Okay, Brian, save us your horror and outrage. I mean, this whole issue of immigration, I don't think any fair-minded Democrat in America could possibly look at the number of people that have come over the border illegally in the tenure of President Biden and not share everybody else's view that is completely unsustainable and clearly has been a failed policy on the southern border. Do you think it's been a success or a failure?
Well, all of this might suggest that we need some legislation on the border. And in fact, we had 3 senators, Kyrsten Sinema, Chris Murphy, and Republican James Lankford, negotiate a border bill that was not only the most conservative border bill that any Democrat could have signed, but it had no comprehensive immigration reform, which is historically the absolute condition that Democrats require. Instead, it had Ukraine aid that was attached to it, which passed anyway, which means there was nothing that the Republicans gave up. And yet Donald Trump issued his clarion call to Republicans because he thought it was too important to preserve the issue of the border as a campaign issue. And so he wouldn't allow this to be solved. So for Tommy and George, spare us the grandstanding about the border when I didn't hear either one of you come out and say that this border bill needed to be passed when Donald Trump was making sure that it didn't get passed because he wanted to make sure the border was as chaotic as humanly possible.
That was liberal political commentator Brian Tyler Cohen absolutely shutting down Trump Stooge Piers Morgan on several of his lies about Kamala Harris. Now, Republicans and Trump stooges like Piers Morgan are trying to find some attack to land, some blow to land on Kamala Harris right now, but there are no flaws in her record that they can find. There's nothing to attack her on. And so they've resorted to these lies about the border, chief among them being that she was the border czar, something that's completely not true. And we are going to we're going to debunk that with a clip in just a second. But they're also trying to claim that she is responsible for an unsecured border. And that's, of course, not the case. It was Donald Trump who broke up a bipartisan piece of legislation that both Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrats in the House, the Senate, and Republicans in the Senate all worked together on to try to secure our border until Donald Trump said, I don't want this to happen. Blow it up. I want to run on this issue. And that's why they're using it to try to attack Kamala Harris, because Republicans don't care about making the country better. They don't actually care about any of the issues that they rant and rave about and pretend are the most important things, because if they did, they would work across the aisle with Democrats who are willing to do what it takes to actually make this country better. But I said that we are going to get to a clip that debunks Kamala Harris's title as border czar, which just isn't true. And Jim McGovern, a great Democratic congressman, pointed that out earlier this week. So let's check out that clip.
This is about saying that she's criticizing her as the border czar. She was never appointed as a border czar, never called that. Where is that coming from? I mean, it's made up. I mean, why is it in the resolution? Show me where President Biden said that.
You know, I didn't draft the resolution, Mr. McGovern, but I know that it is well known that she has been referred to repeatedly as the border czar.
You're testifying on behalf of this resolution.
Correct.
So,
and I'm here to defend the resolution.
All right, so the question is, I'm asking you, since you are here to testify on the resolution, where did President Biden announce that Vice President Harris was, quote, the border czar? Where did he say that?
I don't have the information, and I don't know that I could point to a particular time that he's used that phrase.
Well, the reason why you don't have the information is because he didn't.
Yes, Republicans can't identify the moment that Kamala Harris became border czar because it never happened. That was never her title. And what I love so much about what Jim McGovern does is he doesn't just point out the lies of the MAGA Republicans. That would be great to say, hey, you guys are lying. This isn't the truth. This is hypocritical. This is wrong. But then he goes on to mock them for these lies. And I just love it. So let's check it out.
This is an emergency meeting. You heard that right, everybody? This is an emergency. Not an emergency meeting to fix the border, but an emergency meeting to bash Kamala Harris. That's the emergency. Are you kidding me? The emergency is that Donald Trump is losing and they're in a panic. And he's so unpopular that they need a meaningless resolution to try to prop him up. Now, I get why he's unpopular. Maybe they should call on him to step aside, considering how rambling and unfocused and boring he's become. He's the oldest presidential nominee in history. And I'm hearing from a lot of people he should step down.
Yes, the emergency isn't at the border. The emergency is with Donald Trump. The emergency is that Donald Trump is failing right now. His campaign is in total freefall. It is a collapse before our eyes. That's what's happening with Donald Trump's campaign. They are panicked because, like I said, they can't land a single hit on Kamala Harris. They want to say that she's soft on crime. Really? The person who was twice elected Attorney General of California, twice elected district attorney, that person is soft on crime? Well, isn't Donald Trump a convicted felon? 34 counts? It seems like that person isn't just soft on crime, but he's a criminal. They want to say that, oh, she was the border czar and an unsecured border is her fault. What about the bipartisan border bill we talked about earlier that Donald Trump said, blame me for destroying it? What about that? They want to say that Kamala Harris, and they make this racist attack, is a DEI vice president, saying that it's only because of her race and gender that she's the vice president. First of all, a ridiculous attack. But you want to talk about someone who doesn't deserve to be president? It's Donald Trump. You want to talk about someone who doesn't deserve to be vice president? It's J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has been in the Senate for 2 years. Kamala Harris has more experience as an elected official, more years served, serving the public, helping the American people, than Donald Trump and J.D. Vance combined. Kamala Harris might be one of the most equipped people to ever run for president and to eventually hold that office. She has worked at every level. She has succeeded at every level. So it's funny to try to see Republicans make attacks on Kamala Harris that ultimately just fall flat. Because one, they are wrong, and two, it's funny to see them backfire on Republicans. They want to say that Kamala Harris doesn't have any enthusiasm for her. I've seen that point a lot lately made by Republicans. Oh, there's no enthusiasm for Kamala Harris. Well, why is she skyrocketing in the polls then? Why is it that she's passing Donald Trump? Not only passing Donald Trump, but in a new poll that we just saw from CNN, she's actually taking Trump supporters away from him. The MAGA base is moving over to Vice President Kamala Harris. And the energy isn't just reflected in the polling, it's also reflected in the fact that she's brought in historic fundraising hauls, raising more in a 24-hour period than any candidate for any office in the history of the United States. She is already historic in her own right with her accomplishments as a public servant up to the point of right now. And she is only becoming more historic and more successful despite these ridiculous attacks from Republicans. And that's just what they are. Ridiculous attacks. Nothing more, nothing less. There is no substance to what they say. And there never has been. And there never will be. And someone who so perfectly points that out is our good friend Jessica Tartloff. Let's see what she had to say.
There is nothing President Biden could do that would appease the Republicans. It's impossible. It has to do with election season. It also has to do with blind hatred for the man and that it destroys their narrative if he does anything that's even remotely a gesture towards their priorities, like a big bipartisan border deal, which Donald Trump told our own Laura Ingraham, of course I'm not going to support that. It helps the other guy.
Now, I flash back to that clip when Republicans were making the border issue the fault of President Biden, and now it is somehow the fault of Vice President Harris, because as I said earlier, they don't actually care. They care to attack, they care to accuse, and they care to make our country worse and only benefit themselves and a select group of rich people. That's what they care about. They care about getting their little Fox News TV hit, their little 5 minutes on Fox, make a little money off the fundraising, attack President Biden, attack a Democrat, not get anything done. The least productive Congress in modern history is this one right now because of the MAGA majority in the House. These people don't do anything but attack and lie. That's what the Republican Party is. That's what we're up against. A party of do nothing, a party of destroy, a party of complete chaos, and a party that wants to push us back 25, 50, 100 years to strip fundamental freedoms, to strip civil liberties, and to continue to attack our democracy. So that's what we're up against. On one hand, we have the future, Kamala Harris, and the other, and this hand should probably go all the way back over here, is Donald Trump, pushing us backwards. And we're not going back. Like Kamala Harris says, we aren't going back. And if you want to be a part of this movement, pushing back against Donald Trump, pushing back against the MAGA movement, and pushing us forward in support of Vice President Kamala Harris, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We have blown past 60,000 60,000 subscribers. I'm going to say that again, 60,000 subscribers in only 2 weeks of this channel. This is a new channel, started 2 weeks ago, and because of you, viewer, we are past 60,000 subscribers already. It is so incredible, and I am so incredibly grateful for y'all. It really means the world to me, the amazing community that we are building here, and also so darn quickly that I just want to welcome more people in. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button, you join what we are building here, you leave a like on this video. Let me know in the comments if you are a new subscriber so I can thank you, because it really, again, it means so, so much to me. And as always, I will see you next time.